Well, it is my great pleasure to be here with Penelope Ragotzy, or Penelope Alex is your stage name. We are at the Barn Theater in Augusta, Michigan, and this is a little bit of, this is my map of Michigan I bring with me. So
Yeah,
if Jackson were here, we're kind of between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo, and about an hour west of Jackson. And my wife and I, we were very fortunate last summer to come across. We met through actually your mother. We heard about this, and this is an amazing theater. I'll say in the middle of nowhere. So thank you, because we're right in the middle of your busy season for you to meet with us. And I have a photo of your husband, who's very busy right now, that I'll share with students. He's got a beautiful, actually, tattoo that looks almost like a photograph on your shoulder of you.
Yes,
after
he does. He's
35 years of marriage.
Big fan.
And I know I wanted to keep you humble because humility is important, but you are a fantastic actress. Because we've been to a couple of productions, actually more than a couple, and you have an amazingly talented family, and you and your husband are incredible business managers, which is why I wanted to do this.
We strive to be
interview. So,
thank you. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you and to your students.
78 years as a family business and going strong. That just doesn't happen very often.
No.
In the arts,
right?
Oh my gosh!
It's all like this strike against us, this strike against, yeah.
So very briefly, so when I first heard about it from your mother, who's in her 90s and a wonderful lady, I'm thinking, okay, so it's in the middle of nowhere, and they use young college students, and so I'm thinking Marie and I will go to be nice, but it's going to be really low quality, and these are some of the best productions.
Your expectations were quite low.
They were low. And the
That's
production quality was incredible. And for me, since I love stunning organizations, just the way that everybody worked together to get this beautiful product. And you guys do 8 productions in the summer.
We do.
And while you're doing one, you're the rest of the day preparing for the next one.
Yeah.
And so in the course of a little over 3 months, you do 8 theater productions, which are extremely high quality.
In October we do one, and then in December I do a Christmas cabaret that I put together.
Awesome.
So it's 10 shows, and then we have a gala or 2 thrown in there for fundraising, because you have to do that. And you're thanking your donors and things. Yeah, so it's a lot of events.
After the evening stage show, to my right, which I won't mess up the camera, but the barn, where the theater is behind us, to my right, is a little looks like a house, but you actually have a cabaret show with many of the same actors that just did a major stage show, and they're literally closer than you and I are. They're performing this really fun, active show at 11 o'clock midnight every night.
Some take their bow from the main stage show and just run down, start serving patrons, put on an apron, sing songs, go back, take off their costume when they're not needed in this bar show, as we call it, in the cabaret, and then come back, and their evening ends, certainly well after midnight. So that's a long day. And this being part of an apprenticeship, they realize, this is a lot of training. This is what I'm here for, kind of thing. And I reiterate a lot about the long hours and what's expected and how they fit in, and how they're a very important cog in the whole place. So
I sense that they believe it, because I just see the enthusiasm and the focus among all of these people who are high teens to early 20s, many of them. And then you have some professional actors. I'm probably getting a little bit too detailed. I want to get more overview also. Behind me, there's a restaurant. So people can come have dinner before the show. How do you run basically 3 different businesses? This is 4 maybe. You've got a theater, you've got a theater training school, you've got an actual theater behind you, you've got a bar serving alcohol with a cabaret show
with some food in there as well.
And then behind me you've got a restaurant that people can come have dinner before the show. And you don't go crazy, and all of these are working together.
I wouldn't say I don't go crazy.
Okay. How do you oh gosh, where do we begin with this? So
my in-laws started the theater in 1946, and my mother-in-law was traveling from San Bernardino, California, to get to New York. And she was sort of dotting her way, apparently, across the nation doing apprenticeships. And she was 20 or 21, and she was at the Kalamazoo Civic Theater. And they are celebrating, I think their 98th season.
Wow.
So they've been around a very long time. My father-in-law is from Kalamazoo, and he worked there. And they get their feet wet, and all the men went to war, and they came back.
World War II.
And he used to do plays. He'd do plays during the war. I don't know I don't know how that happens. But anyway, he was sort of in charge of that. So he comes back to the Kalamazoo Civic, sees her as their first apprentice, sees her, falls in love with her. 2 weeks later, they're married.
2 weeks? Oh, gosh.
Weeks. And it only lasted 50 years.
Yeah.
Great.
And they ran a business together for most of those 50 years.
Yeah, and she was going to New York, and he said, I had to try to keep her here. But let's start a theater here. And that's how it happened. Betty went to UCLA. Jack got his master's at UCLA. And with those friends, they started rebuilding this dairy barn that they found then 3 seasons after they had initially begun the theater in Richland.
Which is near here, Richland, a little west of here. Okay.
It's just like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
So at their community hall is where they started, 46, 47, and 48. Then the town elder said, there's too much traffic, which is so cute.
Don't bring business to our town.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean? What do you mean by doing that late night traffic at 10? You know. So they had to search for another place. Almost at the beginning of their 1949, fourth season. So they were rummaging around trying to find a place, and they came across the Cook Barn, which is the barn you see behind you. And they just started renovating immediately. There are some pictures that show them building the stage floor and putting in folding chairs and all that. So the barn theater became a thing in 1949. Before that, they were called the Village Players in Richland for those 3 seasons. Then they started here, and they would go from Michigan to LA, back and forth, because there was nothing that happened for them other than the summer season. And many theaters like this were only summer theaters, of course. And there was a big boom in summer theaters because of the movie Summer Stock with Judy Garland. And so everyone they'd see a barn and go, we can put on a show.
Oh, my gosh.
Literally, my in-laws we can put on a show there.
Wow.
So yeah.
And so they had a son, named Brendan, and you married him 35 such years ago. And later. Were you already involved in theater yourself before you married Brendan?
I went to San Jose State, and they had just a great theater department. And all my life led me to being a theater person because of singing in choirs at church and being able to sing, first of all.
Yes, you have a
by
lovely
the grace
voice.
Of God. Well,
yes.
no, not now. Back then.
Well, we've heard you sing on stage, and you're very good.
Nice.
I heard you do a little Les Mis on the recording. One of my favorite plays. But go on.
Oh, yeah, it's the
I'm
best.
sorry.
Oh, Les Mis. It's great. And I was a dancer and a gymnast, and my father was a pianist. My mother plays the violin. We're a very musical family, so it was this normal progression, and I got a lot of support. So majoring in theater at San Jose State, and then meeting Brendan because he played on the baseball team. And, athletes tend to kind of jump college to college unless they're somewhere Division I and they just sort of stay, which is great. So he was there, and we met, and we got married in 1988, and I knew that my life would be here, and was sort of completely fine with that.
Yeah.
So even though I was from California, from San Jose, where it's very bustling and very different.
Very different than rural Michigan, yes.
Yeah, it's completely fine, though.
Yeah.
And it's very different now than it was when I grew up. There were cherry orchards everywhere, and so it's a different time to live in California in the 70s and 80s. So we started this, took over from his parents as they passed.
Yeah.
There wasn't this sort of handing over of the torch because, my gosh, they grew it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And Brendan got more and more involved doing pretty much every job. Technically a spotlight operator and stagehand and stage manager, which is very big, and was starting associate producing duties with his dad and really learning. And so I was an actress and just was sort of thrown into, I have like, imposter syndrome big time. Thrown into doing the marketing as well. So you learn as you go.
Yeah.
If you're, open to it and have a little bit of intelligence. So I also do the marketing and hire the apprentices now.
Wow.
Together we do it.
In entrepreneurship, we talk about something called the hedgehog concept, which a researcher named Jim Collins came up with in one of his best-selling books of all time. It talks about successful businesses. The founders and the leaders have these 3 things. The hedgehog is a weird idea, but you have to be passionate, and clearly you have that. I see that you and your husband, you're passionate about theater. You have to be talented, and we can argue all day, but I've seen you perform, and you're extremely talented, and I've seen what Brandon has directed, so you've got those 2. But the kicker is the 3rd leg of it, which is you've got to be able to do it so people want to pay money to do it. And in the arts, I mean, there are a lot of very talented, very passionate, starving artists out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I talked with your husband a little bit before we turned on the camera. He said, you know, every entrepreneur is an artist to some degree, because you got to have that passion, you know, and you got to have that talent. But making money, I know there's a big truck coming. So the question is, and I think this will help us, how do you take this passion, which you clearly have, and the talent, and how are you guys able to make money doing this? How do you know what your customer wants? And how do you deliver that consistently? There's the truck.
Look, here's the truck getting us hard seltzer.
Yeah.
In our bar.
Keep going.
I think an important thing of how to be successful, or how to do it as a whole, is to also surround yourself with people far smarter than you, and people who have their special talents. And so knowing that you need a scenic designer, you need a painter, you need someone who can direct, you need someone who believes in your vision, you know, sort of bottom line, of course. But secondly, has talents that perhaps you don't. We come from a for-profit background as Jack and Betty Ragotzy, my in-laws, from 1946 to, gosh, I guess I'd say 2015 or 2016 or so. It was really a for-profit mentality that I got to be able to do everything. If somebody goes down, I have to know how to do this. So with the advent of technology, that makes life a little trickier, and you're relying on other people. So you're choosing them, hopefully, God willing, wisely, so that they believe in what you're doing as well, and they deliver.
And I see that so clearly. But before we even get to, you've got this great team in place, how do you even know what people are going to drive out to the middle of nowhere? You've got 400 seats in there.
Yeah.
We've been there, it's either been full or nearly full. Every time my wife's sitting behind me, have come. And it's like, how do you get people to come out this old country road consistently
the great
to
thing
fill
is
up
that
enough seats?
When you've been around so long, which is, thank God we have, people have heard of you. Secondly, our alumni base is ridiculously impressive. When Jennifer Garner has been an apprentice here in 1993, when Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls was an apprentice, when Tom Wopat, a guy who you guys don't know who that
Dukes
is.
of Hazzard, big show. Well, I'm old enough. In 1980s, that was maybe the number one show in the 1980s, Dukes of Hazzard. And he was a Barney. He was one of your
He was a Barney
proteges.
from 1976. And then at the height of his career, he came back and did Carousel, a musical with us. He didn't have to, by any means. But the love and respect that he had for the place and my in-laws, he just sort of wanted to give back, because they gave him certain opportunities that that just launched his career. You know, so you have so many people who've gone on to great things in front of the camera, behind the camera, on stage, technicians. So when people do even a little research, go to our website or whatever, they see our alumni, go, oh my gosh, this place. So when Brendan said, we're sort of like see the stars of tomorrow today, and we all went, oh yeah, that's good. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's our whole mission, vision, you know, purpose, that we train these kids so that they will go on to big things and make us proud and claim I was a Barney too. So the network just gets bigger and bigger, A, and B, the public sees them. And in interviews, 10 times out of 10 they mention that they've been to the barn and that they trained here.
Yeah.
So it's all of that. It's the family aspect of it as well, that we're a family running it. We're not corporate. We don't not know our patrons. We know our patrons. We are very friendly with them. People come generationally.
It's okay. Our truck man is about to take off.
He's going to go and leave us to our stuff that we want to do. Off he goes.
It's all very real. I love it.
So yeah. That's what you'll get here. Very real. So with families coming generation after generation, seeing people on our stage that then they see in movies.
Yeah.
You know, just our branding, our logo, all of that is very important. Of course, we haven't changed our logo. Every now and then I get someone who advises me, you want to change this a little. And I look at him like, yeah, thank you. No, bye-bye. Off you go. Very nicely kind of, we don't see the same, vision here.
So would you say most of the people who attend the performances are repeat visitors? They've been coming for a long time, or do you get a lot of new people?
The funniest thing is, Brendan, my husband, who does the curtain speech, which is a speech right before each production, each night's performance, he'll say, how many new people do we have in the audience? And so many hands go up, and we're gobsmacked looking at it thinking, wow, okay, because there is something in me too that thinks, oh gosh, these people have come forever. Isn't this great? We're, the community is getting wider as their kids come and they tell friends. And to tell you the honest God's truth, there are so many new people, and which means our marketing is working, right? And so you, as a marketer, say, okay, where's the most important place we can be? Let's see. Well, you sort of have to be everywhere. And again, by the grace of God, we have the funds right now to have billboards, a TV commercial, a flyer, brochure that physically goes in the mail still.
To where?
USPS, to
local area?
And so you basically buy, from the National Change of Address, you buy lists that people have ID'd themselves, for lack of a better word, that they're theater goers, they like performance, they like music. So our printer and I work together with those, they're not called hashtags, but those words, those key words that you search out those people.
So you get these demographic characteristics
right, and
for target markets.
Right,
yeah, okay.
Exactly. So your fulfillment all happens with that group of people as well as your mailing list.
So you work with, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is critical. You work with somebody who has that database, right?
Absolutely.
And then you can say these are key
us.
areas, and they buy it, and then you send the actual, what we call snail mail, the paper mail, to those actual addresses, not a total coverage of 5 miles within this bar and theater, but to these targeted addresses that have already expressed some interest in theater, for example.
Right,
perfect.
Exactly, or some family activity, whatever key word we feel is important to gather them to us, as well as our 13,000 mailing list. And of course you dedupe so that you're not sending to the same people twice and all of those good things.
Good. Okay.
The good thing is that you do have people in like printing and that kind of thing that know so much more, of course, than I do, that I'll say, hey, we're sending out a postcard for, say, a Heartbreak Hotel. They're like, okay, we can find Elvis fans.
Great.
I mean, because there are keywords that through all the algorithms, people say, did you see the Elvis movie on some post? Boom. That algorithm is, they're an Elvis fan.
Perfect.
Whatever.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, we send out a brochure, we do e-blasts, of course, all of the marketing. It's very hard to find out how someone has heard of us, as much as I send out surveys. Those are helpful, and sort of not at times as well. But because they go, I want to see Wicked at your theater. You go, hi, me too. We can't do it. Yeah.
You guys, amazingly successful, 78 years. But we do know that there was a time not that long ago where you guys almost failed. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I mean, a lot of theaters have been failing recently. I'm speaking to you in 2024, but what was it, 2010, did you say, which was like the Great Recession here in Michigan? What happened and why didn't you guys fail? And what did you learn from that?
Wow. Well, why didn't we fail is it's interesting. First of all, we did a few like one-offs, 6 or 7 things that summer as fundraisers.
Like just a single night performance as opposed to 2 weeks like you're doing now.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Jeff Daniels came and did a concert for us. Mind you, he did get paid, so. But anyhow, we had an alumni, Stephen Lynch, who's a comedian who's hilarious, who did it out of the kindness of his heart.
Wow.
So you fill a house there at $35 a ticket, right? You're having some income.
Okay.
You collect unemployment, first of all, is what we did. And you're really pinching pennies. But
why didn't you bag it? Why didn't you say, we're on unemployment, we're only doing a handful of shows, and people are doing it for free for us. This is not sustainable. And I didn't mention you have 4 children, which we'll get to later, because all of them might be involved in they were much younger then.
Yeah.
And I could see a lot of people saying, we just can't do this. This is our income for both of us, supporting a family. Income's way down. theaters are struggling. We got to go get a real job. But
Yeah.
you didn't. How did you survive
and
that?
we had some really key people who were patrons who had sat on other boards, who felt so strongly about getting us back on our feet that we revitalized the Barn Theater School and really made it what it is today, slowly building toward the nonprofit that we are now.
Okay.
So they really helped us, they really guided us, because if you're a for-profit business, you don't have that nonprofit mentality. You just don't.
And I'd love to go there because I think I've mentioned to you, I've always wanted to interview somebody who has a successful not-for-profit. I think you're the first one. And a lot of my students want to do not-for-profit, or they're already doing it and struggling.
Yeah.
What is that mentality? What's different in the not-for-profit mentality?
There's first of all, to be quite honest, there's a lot you can write off.
Okay,
When you're a
for taxes.
for-profit, right?
Yeah.
So when we moved to LA, Brenda and I moved back and forth for about 6-7 years before we had our kids, and then we realized we wanted to be in one place because it's tough for kids to go back and forth. Anyway, so anything we spent here, California was our home, so that was right off.
Okay, a lot of travel expenses deducted.
Anything we ate, anything we bought, anything
Okay.
we're away from home, right? So that mentality sort of had to change because it's not a write-off once you live here, right? That was a huge blow, actually. There's a I have to do it myself mentality when you're for-profit, and let's find a way to buy this with our money when you're for-profit. And when you're nonprofit, you write a grant, which is great. And learning all those things about grant writing was huge. I quickly realized that although I have the gift of gab, you need a certain mind and a certain way of writing for grant writing, of course.
Okay.
And I'm a fantastic proofer, but I'm not a ground up, let's see, how can I, fashion this grant so that people, so that foundations like it.
Did you hire somebody to help with that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
People did it for free for a while, or part of the grant went to their salary, as is very typical.
Okay.
But we quickly learned that programming is very important, that no foundation wants to give to operating expenses.
Just to be clear, so a foundation is a big organization that gives money to not-for-profits.
Yeah.
Like the biggest might be the Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
I know the Ford Foundation is one of the top three, which is based in Michigan, the Ford
And
Motor Company.
They don't care about us. They care about other things, and that's okay, because
Yeah.
you need to align with what they give for, like you look for arts foundations.
Sure.
And they're just, every theater or arts foundation is clamoring for those people. So you write a grant. If you need anything, you write a grant for it. And from there, you find foundations that align with what you're doing. One thing that's really important to us is the backstage experience, which speaks to many foundations. We get children here, take quick classes, see the show, and have a Q&A afterwards, and we feed them some pizza and salad.
It's K through 12 kids, I'm assuming.
K through
Your
12.
performers are mostly college level students.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But the backstage is just like a one-day, younger kids can experience the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're one chaperone per 4 kids
Okay.
comes to the backstage experience. A chaperone is the only one that pays, and the lowest tier ticket price.
Okay.
So it's like 5 people coming for $40.
Nice.
It's yeah.
And how does that link to the foundation or to the
Well,
fundraising?
they get what we're doing, that you're trying to get children to become involved in the arts just as patrons, first of all, to get out from behind their phones, to really experience what the community has to offer, and how a cultural fabric of a community is very important to them as people.
Yes.
And I, honest to God, don't know the correlation, but kids come to the backstage experience and they're learning about costumes and wigs and makeup, and how to wood grain a piece of wood so it looks like a lovely piece of wood that has all the colors. They're learning about scenic design, they're learning about lighting, just in 15-minute increment classes. I don't know how it happens, but it really inspires them to join groups in their high schools or in whatever
Like theatrical
school they're
groups?
in. No.
No.
Some are like, I've always wanted to join my math group and I've never had the courage. But now, how does this help them? I don't know. But that's my vision.
That's beautiful.
That these kids realize that they're an important cog in what they do.
You can't do it in
wherever they
isolation.
are. Right.
That's so, in today's world, post-COVID, with the
it's
internet,
huge.
so many people are living in isolation,
Yeah.
and it's generally not a good thing from my experience.
Right.
And I don't want to blab and blab, but
No,
you've
right.
sold me and my wife just by seeing these young people to a person, the expressions on their face, the joy, the focus, and we've been around here for an hour this morning. They're working. I mean,
Yeah.
they're cleaning bathrooms, they're watering flowers, they're mowing lawns, and they're doing it with vigor because they're
Generally.
well, from what you see all the awards, but what we're seeing just as observers, it's amazing just the passion that they have. They want to be here. I'm sure they're not making any money, if
Not a lot.
if any.
No, as it's an apprenticeship,
But
yeah, not a whole lot.
this, I could see why a potential donor, whether it's an individual donor or a foundation, would say, you are really investing in people's lives, and you're already seeing the fruit. In the example you gave, even if they don't want to go into theater, they're like, I got to get out of my shell and I want to join my math group. I need to do something in a community of people because there's great benefit to that, and there is.
Yeah, there's one child, one of our backstage experiences was for Ghost, the musical.
Okay.
One child, of course, I was like blubbering, like, I'm so happy you're happy, after I heard this story. She says to me, my mother died, and this show helped me understand that she's in a good place now.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
How are we doing? I mean,
Can't put a price
when I'm
on
in
that.
front of a foundation telling that story, they're like, where shall I give money?
Yeah.
How
much do you need?
Want? I don't care what you need. I'm going to give you more than you.
Yeah. Oh
You pray
gosh.
to God that's what happens.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of people tugging at them as well, foundations. So
That's
you
great.
need a story to tell that is really an important thing for the town, the community, the county, the state, and the nation,
Yeah.
and just for human beings all the way around.
Wow.
So our backstage experience is that. It really is. And surveys I give out to them, they all, bless their hearts, are like, I just wanted it to be longer. I want to learn more. They learn choreography from the show as well in one of those classes. Then they see it in the show. And there's that sense of, I did that. I can do that. It's just a really, really beautiful thing.
I'm so glad you mentioned story for a couple of reasons. First, in entrepreneurship, we're just seeing again and again, everybody has a story, and if the degree to which you can link your story to your business and people can connect with that, whether you're associated with as a for-profit with a not-for-profit, cause-related marketing sometimes called, it's got to be genuine, or they just appreciate your life story and people connect with you.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I mean, you're in theater, your life is stories, right?
Yeah.
And so your ability to realize stories are powerful, and then how our business is a story. And then I guess on a third level, you're not just telling the story, you're showing the story with this backstage experience. You just don't have to craft something in their imagination. They can actually see it happening, which is beautiful.
I had worked with our board president at the time, and he said, you know what you should do? You should kind of maybe, how about and from there it was like, well, we can have things for kids. And it was that talking back and forth. Oh, you can hear them singing.
Yeah, they're getting ready. Elvis next week, right?
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
Your son is going to be Elvis.
Yeah. It's a family affair all the way around. But so from that came this well-oiled machine, thank God, of we can have 4 groups at a time. We can have 100 people here going through this backstage experience in groups of 25, sort of moving all over the theater. And it's incredibly gratifying.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
No.
I said 30 minutes. We're at like 29 now, but you just said it's a family affair. And before we got on, I said, to the degree you're comfortable, you seem very comfortable, let's talk about family, because so many small businesses are family businesses. So many of my students, they want to pass on the business to their kids, or they want to work with a family member. And we talk about that and we give some examples. It can be really good, but often it can be a disaster and can actually ruin your family life. You guys, as a family, as an extended family, you're what? 78 years now, and you're only the second generation.
I've been here from the 40th season.
Okay,
so for
38
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your oldest son is about 30.
He's 30.
Luke, he's going to be playing Elvis. We've met him every time he runs the bar show.
Yeah.
Incredible young man, incredibly talented actor. But this almost never happens. Where you've got the first generation does it for many years, the second generation takes it vigorously, as you and Brendan have, expands it, makes
all.
it, changes it, but makes it better.
The same
and now
and
you've
different.
got 4 kids, and I think all 4 have been involved to some degree.
Yeah.
And now I know that Luke is the 30-year-old. He's a professional actor. He's in the Actors Union. He makes movies in the off season here.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be a 5-hour conversation. How do you make it work when so many other people struggle to make it work?
Well, I mean, there has been a strain on the kids in that it's barn. This is all we talk about. We bring it home. We're barn. So we make a concerted effort, really, to sort of, okay, we're done talking about it. It rears its ugly head in there.
Sure,
sometimes.
I mean, they're human
But
beings.
You really try, right? You
Yeah.
really try to give your focus where it's needed, especially when the kids are at incredibly impressionable ages, whether it be junior high school age or whatever, where you really focus on them. They have seen the ups and downs, and there have been a lot of downs because the buck stops with us. It just does. When your staff is done for the day and something hasn't been done, kind of look at each other and go, okay, let's go finish that. Meaning you want the best out of your staff. You don't want to kill them. You don't want them to just be, out of their minds. We're here for the long haul. We have a vested interest, of course, and they do too, in a sense, sure. But they're not family. They didn't grow up here, So the kids see a lot of that. They see a lot of, my folks are really working hard and killing themselves, and. But they also see that we are incredibly in love with what we do.
Yeah, we can see that.
We really are. They have met so many stars. They've had opportunities that other people have never had, and especially in this incredibly rural area, that they're like, I've met A-list stars that have worked at our theater. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
So there's that yin and yang all the time. There's all we talk about is the barn.
Yeah.
But then I get to be in shows. Isn't this great? My gosh, our third child, Jacob, is a film studies major. He was at MSU. So his passion goes there and with writing. So you know that this place has inspired him in that way. And he has connections to our past alumni, of course, who are fantastic with him. In that he's a writer. They're like, well, when you get to LA, I'll help you this and that and that. They see the positives, definitely.
If I can just give one observation.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs often have to have a lot of confidence, and sometimes that encroaches into the ego area where they're overly egotistical. And I would say my perception is in theater, you have people often who have very big egos, and it's all about them.
Yeah.
That's not you. You're an extremely talented actress, but we can see in this
thank
conversation and how I've known you for a while, you are passionate about helping these young people succeed, whether it's the K through 12 kids or the college kids. And if we have time, we can talk about the school, but we are over time. I'd love to talk about the school if you have time. But I can see that what you said, it's bigger than you.
Oh my gosh.
And the entrepreneurship research really supports this. Back to Jim Collins and others who have studied thousands of companies. The great leaders in business, they want to be successful. They want it to be really, really good, as you do, and it is. But it's not because of them. It's because of something bigger than them.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're doing something for the community. You're doing something for these young people. You are building people that are going to be really successful professional actors, and many of them already are. But this is the stage where they're just becoming that, and that really gets you excited.
Yeah.
So when you have those terrible days, it's like, we can't give this up because so much is all these people's futures are riding on it. This community is riding on it.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
That's why we can't give it up too. This is what I do.
Yeah, that's
and
yeah.
At almost 60, what am I gonna do? What I'm gonna get?
You
another
can
job?
retire and go to
What?
theaters.
Oh, no.
Watch No, you wouldn't. So you
can't.
because
No.
it's about something bigger than you. Hey.
That's my son,
Oh,
Luke.
can you say hi on camera? We're actually interviewing for my class. That's Luke, the 30-year-old he's going to be Elvis next week. Come on out. Heartbreak Hotel, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I can. But anyway, so sadly, I don't even know if they'll see this video before the end of August, but next summer, 2025, I'm sure you'll be here with lots of productions.
Oh, I pray to God we are. And what we do in show selection is what we found, and I think you touched on this earlier. There's a bug.
Yeah.
Okay. That we can't take huge risks with our shows and do things off the beaten track that people have never heard of. There will be a percentage of people that will come see it, but it'll be maybe 40%, maybe 35%, right?
So with 8 shows, if 3 of them are clunkers, you don't make any money.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And what we need is 64%.
You got 400 seats there, so you need almost 300.
Yeah.
You need about 300 people average per show. Okay.
Yeah. And so some do more, some do less. We do a Woman in Black that's very artsy. That is not going to do great. But we also feel it's so important to teach the community that there's so many great shows out there, and that you'll learn about yourself when you see these shows, and that it's an intimate thing when you see theater like nothing else.
It is amazing.
So that's what we do in our selection. We have to get the tried and true. We have to take some chances artistically, and then we get shows like Mamma Mia. And we go, okay, they're all going to want to see that. Fiddler on the Roof. Okay,
oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And they're artistically fulfilling, but the ones that are the Woman in Black and the farces like Boeing, those are even more artistically fulfilling. Geez, because of that, just that difference. It's not a huge splashy musical. You know, it gets down to the human aspect of really who we are, all of us, that all of us shares. Yeah.
Well, Penelope, we've gone 36 minutes. Is there
gosh.
anything you want to share? I could talk to you for hours, and I love this, but to respect my students' time,
Oh gosh, that's so
is there
nice.
anything you want to share? Any tips for anyone, whether they want to do something in the arts, a not-for-profit, or just any kind of business? Some lessons that you've learned along the way.
What I find is, especially in the arts, and this will come off negative, so please don't see it this way. You have to really want to do this with your whole heart.
Yes.
I mean, if there's anything else you want to do, or if teaching, if whatever, another kind of business is in there as well, absolutely do that. There is a place for someone who loves the arts in community theater. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. You can be on stage with your aunt, with your grandma, with your, you know what I mean? But if you want to do theater and be in the arts admin sort of side, which is, the nonprofit side of really working, it has to be with your whole heart, and it will be much more gratifying than anything else you do.
Yeah. Now, as I walked around the parking lot, I saw license plates from all over the United States, California to Florida to Virginia.
They come to me.
These are your
is
students.
Amazing. And they say, I'm interested in the barn. Because our alumni base is so incredible. It's very impressive. So they say, I'm going to go to the same place Jennifer Garner went. Or, Marin Macy, who is a Broadway star. Yeah.
So over the next few years, I'm probably going to show this video to hundreds of students.
Oh my goodness.
With an assignment related. But out of that many, I'm a numbers guy, a few of them might actually want a career in theater.
Right.
So if someone wants to contact you or the theater, what should they, and they want to maybe become an actor and do a summer internship here, how do they get a hold of you?
Our website is barntheaterschool.org, and theater is spelled, you can't tell from there, but TRE at the end. So barntheaterschool.org, and there's a click for info, and those all come to me.
Okay.
Of course.
Sometimes I just do Barn Theater, Michigan, and it comes up.
Oh,
I don't know if there's another Barn Theater in Michigan. There are Barn Theaters in other places.
I have to tell you this really funny story. There used to be 1 million Barn Theaters because of the Summer Stock movie, right? That they just all were everywhere. There were a couple called the New London Barn Theater in New Hampshire, the White Barn Theater, the Barn Theater, our Barn Theater. There's another barn theater in Stuart, Florida, who actually was using our logo.
Oh my gosh.
Very funny. And one of our people said, hey, do you realize that? And I kind of asked them nicely, could you not? And they said, we've been using this for 10 years. And I said, I got that beat. We've been using it for 65. And I have the person who designed it, who's an associate producer emeritus. So they went,
but you don't have a trademark?
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, which, is okay. But anyhow. So there are times where someone will call the box office, and I've been in there, and they'll say, I have to cancel my tickets for tonight. Oh, you do? Yeah, with the hurricane coming. And I'm thinking...
Oh, in Florida, yeah.
Okay. How does that... What? And so it takes me a while, because, smart, maybe, but not always. My tickets for Mamma Mia, this and that, and I think, we're not doing Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Stuart, Florida? Yeah. But because we come up so early in the SEO, in that, searching.
Sure.
And
Wow.
they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah.
Well, get on a plane up to
Yeah.
Michigan. We don't have hurricanes up here. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's good
We
theater.
yeah, it's good theater. It's all great. And we have rain from the hurricane coming up through this jet stream.
Okay. Well, again, Penelope, thank you so much. This has
Oh,
been
you're
really
welcome.
valuable. I've loved it, and I think my students will as well.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time, and
I'm so
I encourage
happy.
people, if you like theater just a little bit, and even if you're not in Michigan, come out in the summer. You do an October show, you said.
Yeah.
You do a Christmas show in December.
Yeah, we do.
And it's
we're all over social media
fantastic.
platforms at Barn
Yeah.
Theater School, and we do really fun TikToks, and that's a new thing.
Wow.
For me, because I'm old. So
I
I
know.
have a youngster take care of that.
Yeah.
And then I proof them and I say edit that differently, and that's what we do. We try to get all demographics,
Yeah.
getting to us, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. So
Well,
yeah, look us up.
And I know you're looking forward to your 100-year anniversary, which will
yeah.
be, 24 years from now. And with your energy, something tells me you're going to still be
I'm
doing
here.
this in
I
24
will
years.
be.
And
Yeah.
Maria and I will be here too.
Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank
Penelope.
you. Bye.